like to take a moment to thank our valued sponsors. John Travis, a financial coach and certified Kingdom advisor with Richard Young Associates, a registered investment advisor. We'd also like to thank Sense of Satisfaction by Cricket. And a special thanks goes to Paul H. Bush, the Burning Bush. Please note that the views and opinions expressed on this show may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors. And if you would like to sponsor, please reach out. We'd love to have you. It's time to hear the story, make the connection, learn the lesson, and gain the wisdom. Are you ready? Let's get charged and be changed. The Sister Speak Brother Break Show. Conversations on grace, healing, and deliverance. This is Marcy Bush. Come on, let's journey together.
And so Daddy said, Daddy said, well, if there's nothing you can do, I thank you for your time and all your efforts, and we'll let the good master handle the rest. Mm-hmm. Now I'm sitting there like, Daddy, the man said that he can't give you the treatments. And so the doctor just looked at him and was like, okay, so let's reschedule. Mm-hmm. Let's see if we can regroup. And if you come back and you look better, we'll go forward with the treatments. And the next time we went back, Daddy walked in. He was like, okay, Mr. Bushwell. Right. Because his decision, this particular doctor's mindset was, as long as you are in the fight, I'm in it with you.
Yes.
Because he was one of the few doctors, because Daddy had like a circle of doctors that was really in the fight with Daddy, no matter.
The tumor board, right?
Yeah, because the tumor board,
And they would meet and talk about cases and see what they could do.
Yeah, and decide what they were going to do, what they couldn't do, or who would handle what particular piece.
Right, and we found out, like, when they called us into the room, that very last time that they called us in, to say that there was no more that they could do. And I remember the doctor saying, when he brought up Dolphus's name last, other doctors were like, he's still living? Why are you still working with him? He said, and I told them, he's not giving up and I can't either.
Right, yep.
But he was like, at this point, there is nothing else I can do.
And you could just see the hurt in his face.
Yes.
Like he was genuinely hurt to even have to say it. Like I never even seen him look like that before. Like you could tell he was completely unnerved by even having to say it, because Daddy had been in the fight so intense, so intensely for so long.
Yes. And I don't even know if I told you, but I had to accompany a friend to a doctor's visit last year, I think. And I knew the doctor's name. It was a different one than we were just talking about. But it was one who had treated Dolphus. And when we came in, we were in and he came in and I was like, oh, I said, you were one of my brother's doctors. And I said, Dolphus Bush. He was like, Dolphus? Oh, hang on. He went right out into the hallway where some of their files are set up. Pulled out Dolphus's thank you card from the funeral. They have it up there. He's like, he's one of my most favorite patients ever. Like and then he told the nurse, this is Mr. Dolphus's, like, so they knew. That he had this tenacity about him. The faith. And he's been gone almost 5 years now. But it lives on.
It sure does.
It lives on. When you hear, when people at around Aiken Hospital hear his name, they know who he is.
Or even nurses. I've seen nurses in the store, and I could tell from the look on their face that they recognize me and they just give me a hug. So even some of the nurses that used to see that in the doctor's offices.
And that's, I mean, that's some, I want to leave impact. And it wasn't that he tried. It wasn't that he tried. He was himself.
He was just himself, no matter what the news was, because we went to several appointments where because there were some things that, and my pastors taught me this, you have to leave people with their dignity. And if you're somewhere with someone and they don't want you telling it, you don't tell it. And so there were some appointments I couldn't share. Because, I was kind of like the data girl, and we all shared data after appointments. But there were some appointments Daddy was like, no. or he'll say, you can say this. Or I would ask him, Daddy, what can I tell? But there were plenty of appointments that we went to that they were blatant with Daddy and was like, I'm not sure that you'll be here the next appointment, but we'll schedule it.
Okay.
And Daddy never changed.
Right.
Never. He will always shake their hand. Thank you for everything that you done. You done your part. We'll see what the good master go do.
Right.
And he never changed. And then we would either leave and go get something to eat, or leave and go to the grocery store, or depending on how we was feeling, go back to the house. Sometimes I have to remind Dad, now Dad, I took my lunch break. Do I need to call my boss and say I'm not coming back today? Because Kroger would turn into the drugstore, and then drugstore would turn into Harbor Freight. Then Harbor Freight would turn into. I was like, Dad, I have to go back to work.
Yes. Well, I know that, like I said, it's been nearly 5 years, and even since then, what is the thing that you do in honor of your dad?
Yes, so I remember being in ICU and being in the waiting room because we were there often, off and on for whatever reason. And I just remember sometimes those snacks that volunteers would bring, and they just would help because anybody knows if you have somebody in ICU, those doctors, they make their rounds, and that is the round. Right. You never know when your turn is going to come, and so you don't move. You don't go far to do anything, and so sometimes it just go out there in the waiting room and find some water or some peanuts or a snack. That would get me over until I could get settled with speaking to the doctor, hearing from a doctor, and then going on. So I was like, I'm gonna pay that forward, and do the same thing. So every month, the ICU waiting room at Aiken Regional, I put a basket with water, chips, candy, that kind of thing in it. And so I just feel really blessed to be able to do that in honor of my dad.
That is a blessing, a great big blessing.
Because I see people in all the time, you go, how much is that, ma'am? It don't cost anything at all. Help yourself. And you can just see the relief on people's faces because they know they can't go far. And I just remember that feeling.
Right. So I know that we've discussed your childhood. We talked about your mom. We talked about your dad. Tell me about grown Sheeka.
Grown Sheeka, that's busy all the time. I think that's one of the best ways to describe grown Sheeka right now is busy, but because I've always either been in a position of either have to worry or take care of, grown Sheeka moves a lot, and people get on me about this all the time. but grown Sheeka doesn't take care of Sheeka a lot because she's always worried about the people around her and are they okay or what are they doing? And so grown Sheeka is on the move all the time, but grown Sheeka is also at 44 trying to learn how to take care of her as well, because it ain't like I'm 14, I'm 44. Right. And people don't stay here, always. Right. And so that's kind of what grown Sheeka is like. But I love to nurture and to help and to take care, because I know that's part of who I am anyway. Right. But I just have to kind of stay out of the overdoing and the worrying and not knowing when to walk away and let go part. Right.
I remember as I edited the first part of our show, I realized that when we were talking about how you changed, how quiet you were, and how just so easygoing, and I was like, and Sheeka is anything but that now. And both times when I rewatched it, it was like, you know what you see when she walks out the door. But it could very well be that the Sheeka you live with may be much like that little Sheeka that I saw when I rounded that corner that day. And so I wanted to take a moment to say, I know that we see what we see. But, I a while back I remember saying that, not during this interview, but one time during One More Minute, I remember the Lord had impressed upon me that we needed to check on the strong people. And so, like, even in this space, I want to say, that I apologize for any times that maybe, sometimes we take things at face value, but remember forgetting that there's something behind the face. And I encourage you to continue your journey to healing, because you have assisted, even as, you know, in the therapy and the counseling and all of that. You have assisted so many in the family, outside the family, with their healing, physical and emotional healing. And I just encourage you to tend to your own healing. Tend to your own healing. Because we want you around for a long time.
Right. I want to be here too.
Yeah, because you have so much to offer. And you do. But, you know, not at the detriment of yourself.
Right.
And the other thing I remember saying too was like, ooh, Sheeka is one of the most loyal people I know. And you are.
Yeah.
But again, you're so loyal to everyone else. But I encourage you to be loyal to you. Like, I'm learning that loving me doesn't mean I don't love you.
Yeah.
It just means I love me too. Helping myself does not take anything from you.
Yeah.
But if you keep pouring, after a while, if you're not poured back into, so yeah. I just really want you to like celebrate yourself. Do the things that bring you joy outside of helping somebody else.
Yeah, and that's a struggle to celebrate myself, because I'm just like, these are things you should do. These are stuff you should do. But because sometimes even when people congratulate me or on certain things, I'm like, but isn't that just what you're supposed to do? And so I have to remind myself, no, Sheeka, you really don't have to. Like, everybody don't do this. So it's okay for people to tell you stuff like that. So that's, again, a part of me that's still learning and growing.
So even in this moment right here, just now when you were talking, I've asked people, I think before, what would the adult say to the child? But just now I saw the little child. What would the little Sheeka say to grown Sheeka?
And the only reason I pause on that is because because little Sheeka was so bogged down in what was happening and who was absent and was I going to be okay, because
But when she looks at you now, not even talking to the little one. Yeah. The little one is there and she sees who you have become.
Probably just amazed. Just absolutely amazed. Like, oh Lord, we made it.
Yes.
Yes. So I think just amazed.
Yes.
Just amazed.
Yep.
Because even now, sometimes I'm amazed.
Yes.
Because even the fact that sometimes I still, and I've been in my house almost 12 years now. Sometimes I'm still like, I have a house.
Right.
Like sometimes I still just was like, those weren't things that I thought, I would have on my own. So probably just amazed.
Right. That's good. That's good. Don't forget that. Don't forget that you got a little person inside you cheering you on. Okay. She is cheering you on.
That perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, she's cheering you on. Are there any areas that you would like to share? Because like I said at the onset, there are things that I don't know about you. So are there any things that you would like to share or hit on that you think might help someone else, might help our guests?
So what I would say is, don't let where you came from determine where you go. Don't get stuck there, because your dreams and what you achieve they can be as big as you want them to be. So don't get stuck where you started.
That's
good. Continue to dream, aspire, work hard. And so that's what I would share with people. Very good.
Now, because you, like everybody in the world, but because you came from a dysfunctional family. And like I said, we all have come from dysfunctional families in some way, shape, or form. However, the background that you have, as you described, a father who had addiction and a mother who wasn't ready to be a mom. What would you say to mothers and fathers regarding how their decisions impact their kids?
I think the first thing I would say is, if there's a loved one that you trust that is saying to you, give me your children while you work on you, do it. Because I've seen parents not do that.
Okay.
And things get even worse for their children. I'm so grateful for my grandparents deciding, because they raised all their children. They were done raising kids. And it's almost like they started from scratch again with me and my sister, because it was me and my sister went to elementary school when we went to live with our grandparents. And so they started their lives, well, I guess say getting kids up for school, getting them to school, all that from scratch. And so I would say, if you have a loved one, take that space to work on you. And the other thing I would say to parents is, the world is bigger than you, and you have little people who love you and who depend on you. So even during those times where temptation or things may seem bigger than you, if you need to step away and get help, do that, because your kids are going to need that. They need the best you, and the only way that they're going to get the best you is if you work on you, even if that means time away. The other thing I would say for parents too is to forgive yourself. Once you make that step to change, forgive yourself. Don't let anybody hold that over your head, because once you make the change, you've made the change. And sometimes your kids may or may not initially accept it, but you know that you've made a change, and you stick with that. And if they come alongside and realize, you know, thank God I have a parent, I developed a relationship where it is fine. And even if they don't, fine. But I know sometimes parents get stuck because they were like, well, I've done so much wrong, they'll never love me again. You just work on you. And if they come alongside and see the blessing of it, then fine. And if they don't, still somebody else will get the benefit of the best you.
That's good. Well, I have some questions, and they're not now. I used to do rapid fire. I haven't done that in a long time, and even today, when I was thinking about our talk, there are some questions, and they don't have to be rapid fire. So don't feel you can explain if you like. But one of the questions I have for you is, what do you want to know? Like, what is it that you desire to know?
I wish I could kind of know what's the next step I should take, like, to be the best me. Like, I wish I could, like, get a crystal ball and say, okay, she could do this, do that. So that's what I wish I could know. I wish I could know, like, what's the next thing that I should do with that I need to do. So I think that's it.
Okay. So you want to know your next
future,
step.
like what's to come. Yeah.
So now, do you think that even though we definitely don't use the crystal ball, but do you think that you can, even if you don't know the next step, do you believe that you can know to a degree your future?
Yes. I think because there are things in you. Like, I know that writing is in me. I just don't know, like, how or when it's going to get out.
See,
like, I know.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay.
So I know it's in there. I just don't know, like, how or when is
what
going to get out. What
kind of topics? Like, so research stuff or personal stuff?
Personal, and then like some fiction, because I remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because before I went to grad school, I used to love to read things. Grad school kind of ruined that for me.
Well, before I went to college,
I felt like I read so much. Now, if you give me more than a paragraph, I get discouraged.
Okay.
I don't want to read it because I read so much.
But you know what I think. And maybe for you too, but I know for me, I think that what happened was I ran out of time to read. Reading used to be my escape.
Yes.
And now I put everything else before reading and before writing.
Right.
And so maybe if you carved out the time, it might not be what you think it is. You know, you might fall in love with it again.
Yes.
But it's just carving out that time.
Because I often see myself places just writing. Very quiet, serene places, just writing.
Let's have some writing parties. Like, for real, we can do it, because I need to write too.
Yeah, I don't know what a writing party is, but I'd be glad to go.
Yeah, I don't either. We just make up the rules. Okay. Like, I have actually, but I have done with some clients or even friends, just did a time where we did Zoom, and each of us committed to write during that time, just as accountability.
I like that.
Yeah. So we didn't even have to be in the same space, but yeah. So anyway, but wow, that's good to know. What is, and I don't know if your answer will be the same as before, but I've asked this before in Sister Speak. What is your favorite worship song? Or favorite song?
Favorite song. So, like, a lot of things came to mind. I think for me, it depends on the phase of the life phase of my life that I'm in. And the song lately now one of my favorite songs that used to come to me was "God of a Second Chance." When I first got saved, that song always took me out. Okay. Always, every time. I could never make it. Yeah, I could never take it through. Yes. Could never make it through. And then one of them was about love lifted me. Love lifted me when nothing else could help. Yes. Love lifted me. So one phase of my life, that was it. But over the past couple of months, it's been that song from the Winans, "Millions Didn't Make It, but I was one of the ones who did."
That's good.
So that is the one that's been ringing in me the most.
Good. Now, the one that you told us before, and I'm with you, certain phases of life. The one that you said before, and it made me like, oh my gosh, but it made me like, yes, Jesus loves me.
Girl.
I remember when you said, and I was like, oh, that is so true. Like, that's a whole thing. Sheeka, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, immediately the word service came to me. Immediately. I want my legacy to be service, and that I served with the whole heart, and that I gave it everything I had. So service.
Yes, that's good. And we kind of said this before, but it was in a roundabout way, so I want to just ask it the way I wrote it. Who is Sheeka today?
Well, I'll give you what immediately came to my mind,
That's
and
what
then
I
we'll
want.
talk about it for a second. Strong and confident, which surprised me even just now.
That's good.
Because at one time when people would ask me that, those weren't the first things that would come to mind. You know, things like loyal, committed, I work hard. But immediately strong and confident came up, which means there must be some type of evolution happening. Some type of evolution happening in there. So that's what I would say. That's how I would describe it. Yeah.
That is really well, Sheeka. I really want to take this time to thank you for sitting down. I've known for a long time that we would have to sit down, just didn't know the timing. But I always believe that it's ordered by God. And because I do know that even when I started this show, when the Lord started this, a little over a year ago, what you told me today, a lot of that about you would have been different than your answers even a year ago.
Yes.
Because of that evolution that's taken place. And so I thank you for surviving. I thank you for, you're not just a survivor, but you thrive. And I thank you for just the example that you are, even to me, you know. And what's good about it is because you're you, there doesn't have to be any pressure. Just by being you, you encourage others of us. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that God chose our family to place you in. And so thank you. I know that there is somebody who will receive exactly what they need from this conversation. Not just when it airs initially, but in years to come. Somebody's going to come across this at a time in their lives when they need it. And so thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for allowing me to share.
Yes. And thank you for joining us for the Sister Speak Brother Break show. I want to ask you to share this conversation with somebody, just like Sheeka was doing in the end. Like what immediately came up is what she would share. So whoever immediately comes up in your spirit, even if you don't know why, share the conversation with them, because they could be struggling with some things that you don't even know about. They could need to be encouraged in some areas that you're not aware of, but just be obedient to share it. And then make sure you join us next week, same place, same time, for the Sister Speak Brother Break show. Be blessed.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've been blessed by today's show, feel free to let us know. And if you'd like to sow into this ministry, become a sponsor, or contact us, you can reach us at 803-221-0169. Or you can email us at the ssbbshow@gmail.com. To get any of our past episodes,
The pain that I've gone through, I've been through lots. Depression, perversion, low self-esteem, rejection. But I'm here, and I'm loving life, and I'm changed forever. I'm trying to maim you, to leave you, like, physically and mentally, maim you. He wanted your life.
I don't think he so much wanted my life is that he wanted some results. He wanted me to stay in the earth and not be who I am now.
Piece where you start talking about it was your love walk.
Yes.
We had an opportunity to not only share our experience, but find out that there were so many women in the room who had similar experiences.
Advice would you give to people who find themselves in the grips of grief right now?
The pain is inevitable, but the suffering is out.
And one thing you were saying about, I think you're saying about trauma, hurting and stuff, and how that affects us and then the next generation. And the thought popped in my mind, hurting people hurt people.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
a lot of times when people have been bruised or damaged and they lash out, they don't know how to harness their emotions
Right.
or handle their emotions, and
Right.
they end up hurting people as a result of that. And it becomes just repetitive.
Still sick, you still weren't well, but did something change for you when they gave it a name?
Yes, because once they put a label on it, I felt like it was putting a label on me.
catch up on past shows on my YouTube channel at Marcy Bush, MarceyBush. And be sure to subscribe so you won't miss any future episodes.